There are moments in life when everything seems to unravel at once. It's in those moments we feel the weight of our thoughts and emotions press harder than ever before, leaving us searching for answers that seem just out of reach. The silence between us feels louder than words, and the space that has grown between our hearts is now filled with confusion, fear, and uncertainty. My situation is becoming harder to navigate, and I don't know where to turn. I can no longer pretend that things are okay, that I have everything under control. The truth is, I am lost in the middle of a storm, and it feels like the waves just keep rising, pulling me deeper. In moments of uncertainty, we often search for clarity, but sometimes the more we search, the more we find ourselves surrounded by shadows. My thoughts are tangled in a web of confusion, and the answers I once had now feel distant and out of focus. There are times when we wish for a reset button to undo all the chaos, but life doesn't offer such luxuries. Instead, we're left to piece together the fragments of our situation, hoping we can find a way forward amidst the wreckage. It's hard to admit that I've reached a breaking point. It feels like everything I've been working for is crumbling, and I'm standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure whether I should jump or find a way to rebuild from the bottom up. There's a heaviness in my chest, a constant reminder that things are not as they should be. I'm struggling to keep my head above water as my thoughts race, unable to escape the overwhelming tide of emotions that threaten to drown me. Sometimes it feels like the world is spinning out of control, and no matter how hard I try to hold on, I'm slipping further into uncertainty. My situation is more complicated than I could have imagined, and the emotional weight is starting to take its toll. The path I thought I was on has suddenly become unclear, and every step forward feels like I'm walking in the dark. My thoughts are consumed with what could have been, what should have been, but all I have now is the painful reality of what's in front of me. I've tried so hard to keep it all together, to show that I'm strong in the face of adversity. But the truth is, my situation has become something I don't know how to fix, and the emotional strain is more than I can bear. I find myself questioning everything, the choices I made, the paths I've taken, the relationships I've built. My thoughts are constantly swirling, and I feel more lost with each passing moment. It feels like I'm walking through life with a fog clouding my mind, unable to see clearly. Every decision feels like a risk, and every step forward seems to only lead me further into a place of uncertainty. I never imagined that things would get this bad. It's as if life has thrown everything at me all at once, and I'm left to pick up the pieces of a broken reality that I never expected to face. The weight of my emotions feels unbearable at times, and I find myself struggling to keep up with the rapid pace of my thoughts. It's like I'm drowning in a sea of confusion, and the shore seems further and further away. I've reached a point where I can no longer pretend that everything is fine. The cracks are beginning to show, and I'm left to wonder if I've missed something along the way or if this is just the way things are meant to be. It's hard to admit when you're in over your head. The burden of my situation is becoming too much to carry alone, and I feel like I'm about to break under the pressure of it all. I used to feel like I had everything under control, but now I'm questioning everything. It's as if the ground beneath me is shifting and I don't know where to stand anymore. The more I try to hold on, the more it feels like everything is slipping through my fingers. My thoughts and emotions are becoming a whirlwind, and I'm struggling to keep up with the pace of change. The uncertainty I feel right now is overwhelming. Every decision I make seems to lead to more questions, and no matter how hard I try, I can't seem to find a way to make sense of it all. In moments of deep reflection, I realize just how much has changed. What once seemed certain is now clouded with doubt, and I'm left wondering if I'll ever find my way through the confusion. I thought I had figured everything out, but now I'm not so sure. My situation has become more complicated than I could have imagined, and I'm left grappling with emotions that are difficult to put into words. The hardest part is knowing that I'm not where I thought I'd be by now. Life has a way of throwing curveballs, and I'm still trying to catch my breath from the impact of everything that's changed. I find myself at a crossroads, unsure of which direction to take. My situation has become a maze, and I can't find my way out no matter how hard I try to make sense of it. It feels like I'm carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders, and every step forward feels heavier than the last. My thoughts are consumed with worry, and I'm struggling to keep my head above water. There are times when life feels like an endless series of setbacks. No matter how hard I try to move forward, I keep getting pulled back into the same place of uncertainty and doubt. It's hard to explain what I'm going through right now because even I don't fully understand it. All I know is that my situation feels worse than ever, and I'm unsure how to navigate the path ahead. My mind is racing, and every thought feels like it's pulling me in a different direction. I'm overwhelmed by the complexity of my situation, and it's hard to see where the road ahead leads. I never thought I'd be here, struggling to make sense of everything that's happened. The weight of my emotions is more than I can bear, and I'm left wondering if I'll ever find peace again. In the silence of my thoughts, I can hear the echoes of everything I've been avoiding. The reality of my situation is sinking in, and it's harder than ever to ignore the truth that I'm facing. The more I try to fix things, the more it feels like I'm only making them worse. I can't seem to find a way out of this mess, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to stay optimistic. It's in moments like this that I realize how much I've been holding inside. The pressure is starting to mount, and I'm struggling to find a way to release everything I've been carrying for so long. I used to have a clear vision of what my life would be like, but now it feels like everything has changed. My situation is more complicated than I ever imagined, and I'm left trying to make sense of the chaos. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is face the truth about where you are in life. I've reached a point where I can no longer deny that my situation has become something I didn't expect, and the emotional weight is overwhelming. I thought I had everything under control, but now I'm not so sure. It feels like I'm on the verge of losing everything, and the fear of what comes next is starting to consume me. I've been pushing my emotions down for so long, but now they're starting to surface in ways I can't ignore. The pressure of everything I'm facing is taking its toll, and I don't know how much longer I can hold on. Sometimes it feels like I'm stuck in a never-ending loop, repeating the same mistakes and finding myself deeper in a situation that seems impossible to escape. The weight of my feelings is starting to drag me under, and I'm finding it harder to breathe. The pressure of everything around me is suffocating, and I'm struggling to stay afloat. I wish I could go back to a time before things became so complicated, when everything seemed simpler, when I had a clearer path ahead of me. But now, all I have is the uncertainty of what comes next. It's hard to face the truth that my situation is not improving. The more I try to fix things, the more it feels like I'm digging myself into a deeper hole. It's as if everything I do only makes it worse. I feel like I'm standing on the edge, looking into the unknown. The fear of what lies ahead is paralyzing, and I'm unsure whether to take a leap of faith or turn back. The emotional exhaustion is real, and it's starting to take a toll on every part of my life. The constant pressure of trying to manage everything has left me feeling drained, and I don't know how much longer can keep going. I've tried to stay strong, to keep moving forward, but the weight of my situation is starting to break me down. I'm struggling to find the strength to keep pushing through. The uncertainty I feel right now is overwhelming. I'm caught between what I want and what is actually possible, and it feels like I'm living in a constant state of indecision. I'm stuck in a place where nothing seems to make sense, My thoughts are clouded and my emotions are tangled, making it hard to see a way out of this mess. I used to think I had control over my life, but now it feels like everything is spiraling out of my hands. Every choice I make only seems to complicate things further, and I'm losing my grip on everything. It feels like I'm carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders, and the burden is starting to feel too heavy to bear. I don't know how much longer I can keep going like this. Sometimes the hardest part of life is not knowing what comes next. The uncertainty of it all is overwhelming, and I'm struggling to keep my head above water as I face the unknown. I feel like I've reached a point where I can't go back. Everything has changed, and no matter how hard I try to fix things, it feels like the damage has already been done. I never imagined I'd be in a situation like this, where everything feels out of control, and I'm left wondering if I'll ever find my way out of the chaos.